I feel like a fisherman who caught their personal best and like holds it up in a photo. What an incredible view. This is the complete set of the Bandai shiny Pokemon figures with bonuses. We might as well start with the collection as a whole. Now, thankfully, everything fits on this top shelf within this glass cabinet. Now, I do use a lot of risers to hold up all the figures and give it a more abundant look. These right here are actual shelves that you would screw into a wall, but instead of doing that, I put some command strips back there and it works out really well. I also have various box sets throughout, which we will talk about, and plenty of documentation as well. I did put the winning sheets right there. I also have some flyers and some promotional pieces scattered throughout this entire display. Now, I would like to briefly talk about these non-shiny figures. Now, this is considered a DX set. They were sold frequently in stores throughout Japan, and it does have that like female Butterfree, which is so cool because this is the only time that we ever got that pink Butterfree, like ever, and it's in that little finger puppet form. So I do have two of those back there sealed because I thought they were so unique. And then I have the Squirtle Squad. Unfortunately, they only made Ash's Squirtle, so we will never get the ones with the round sunglasses, but I am still happy that they did make Ash's regardless, and I am one more Squirtle away from creating my own kind of Squirtle Squad. Now, these were also for purchase. This is the box that Squirtle came in, so I actually have that one right there in the little plastic baggie. It came with a few other figures within like this set. There's a Christmas Jinx, we have the Squirtle, a Pikachu with like the smaller Pikachu, a Charizard, and a few other ones. But it did take me a while to track down the actual box that held Squirtle in, so I'm happy that I finally do have that. And then next to that, I have like the Pokemon Kids book or like encyclopedia, and it just shows like the history of these figures, and it's really cool. I'll show you some inserts here as the video progresses, but let's kick this off starting with Kanto. Bulbasaur is my favorite Pokemon, so it was very exciting to know that they made a shiny version of Bulbasaur within this Pokemon Kids campaign. Now, this could be won in spring of 2005. Now, this was a set of 5 different figures, so this lineup also included Kyogre and Snorunt. I do really enjoy how faithful they are to the shiny colors. There's a few Pokemon that you'll see later on that you're like, huh, they don't really look like that, but Bulbasaur and this entire evolutionary line look perfect. In summer of 05, the Squirtle evolutionary line got some love. We have all shiny forms here, and this also came in a set of 5. However, this one included Groudon as well as Chimecho. Now, the shiny variants aren't as stark with the Squirtle lineup as they are, I would say, with Bulbasaur, and we can definitely tell the differences between the shells. I'll go ahead and put in a Squirtle Squad figure to show you the difference between a normal Squirtle versus our shiny variant. You can see how big of a difference that is between the shells, and there's even some hue differences to the body of Squirtle as well. That will lead us into the first area of documentation. I've made it a passion and a priority to archive and preserve as much history from these shiny Bandai figure puppets as possible. So this is what a pamphlet would look like inside of like Japanese convenience stores that participated in this Pokemon Kids campaign. Once this is opened up, it shows you a complete display of all the different Pokemon that they are featuring. So this is actually a box bundle. It comes with 25 different shiny Pokemon, and they also throw in this 5-pack as well, so a total of 30 Pokemon can be won. So they also show that it is 100 winners a month with a grand total of 1,200 winners. Over here, it's a far greater number, so 1,000 people are selected each month. This is the summer campaign, and this is the fairy tale campaign, so 1,000 winners with a grand total of 12,000 winners for these. I was also able to track down this like shelf display, so this would adhere to like the bottom of a shelf and would promote the Pokemon Kids campaign. And I thought this was very unique. I think I paid like $10 for it, which was totally worth it in my opinion. Now let's talk about probably one of the most iconic sets. This is the second time a Charizard has ever been made in a shiny form that is not a card. Now this is the complete set and what they call the fairy tale sets. Now I did find this listing in Japan, and I did pay a few $100s for this thing, which was completely worth it in my opinion. And you can see that there is no advertising or fancy colors to this box whatsoever. It is a bare box because this is, again, a lottery campaign, so they're not going to have a bunch of advertising on the like promotional display. Now this is an iconic lineup. I mean, you have shiny Charizard, you have shiny Rayquaza, and shiny Salamence, which the colors to all of them look pretty spot on. The only one that is a little different is going to be Charmeleon. It has more of like an orange color rather than a bright off-white yellow like Charmander does. Charizard looks absolutely phenomenal. I mean, the color is just beautiful. All the little details to the eye, the flame, and then that deep red color to the wings. Absolutely a perfect figure. Unfortunately, there's only one other Kanto Pokemon that had a shiny form, and that is Red Gyarados. Now, this also came in a set of 5 with Swellow, Trico, Mudkip, and Torchic. Now, I did happen to get 2 of them within my years of hunting down this line and acquiring lots. You just kind of already naturally get 1 or 2 extra figures, so I'm happy to have both of these. Unfortunately, there are no Johto figures that made it to the lottery program. Just this shiny Celebi, which was released not that long ago in 2020. You could just basically go into any convenience store and purchase this, which is definitely a shame because there is a lot of amazing Pokemon that they could have released within Johto. I mean, there is a shiny Noctowl that Tomy released, but other than that, there is barely any Johto shiny Pokemon merch in existence. That will lead us into Hoenn. This is the second box that I have, and it contained 5 more shiny Pokemon. So we have our starters, Trico, Torchic, and Mudkip, and they have a more of a playful pose to them. It also included Swellow, and this is where Gyarados came from. I feel like this is a very unique and solid lineup of 5 figures to put within this campaign. They were really trying to promote Hoenn for like one last time. Emerald had just come out, and they ended up releasing a lot of different shiny Pokemon for this lottery program in just the Hoenn region alone. These starters are the only Pokemon to receive a second figure from this entire lottery program, and it has a completely different sculpt and pose to them as well. They were joined with 2 other figures to complete this 5-pack, and it is none other than Latios and Latias. So the shiny coloration to them is a little off. As you know, Latias should have more of an orange look, whereas Latios has more of that like turquoise teal looking color. Despite them not having the most accurate shiny coloration, I still think these are very solid figures. And especially with Latios, I mean, you can see that they kind of attempted, to get the color, but Latias is completely different. But nonetheless, I love these figures, and they could still be obtained through not only the 5-pack, but that big bundle of 25 figures as well. So there was multiple ways to get these into your collection. Like most of the legendary Pokemon, these tend to hold a little bit of a higher price value, Charizard included. So I'd say they're about $75 to $100 per figure. It all depends on condition. Now, before I get too ahead of myself, we did get the entire shiny lineup to our Hoenn starters, and they look incredible. Sceptile is definitely my favorite. Combuskin looks amazing. Blaziken is just a little bit darker than its normal shiny counterpart, but that is okay. It still looks tremendous. But Mudkip has to be my favorite because it's completely different coloration to its normal variant. What's so funny about these two is that you didn't get them all in one set. Like Combuskin and Blaziken were in their own separate lotteries, as well as like Mudkip and Sceptile as well. Whereas like our Kanto starters all came in one complete set, so it was like a one and done type of thing. Whereas these, it was much harder to obtain the entire evolutionary line. We are going to be in Hoenn for just a bit longer, so we're going to take a look at the next 6 figures in Pokédex order. We have Beautifly, Dustox, Lotad, Tailo, Swellow, and Skitty. Now these all came in their own specific sets with different Pokemon. Each of these is just such a beautiful addition to the collection. I love that they included Lotad. I mean, such a random Pokemon in the grand scheme of things, like I'm curious how they decided to choose the ones that they did. Now, if it was me, I would have loved to have seen a Whiscash, especially since there's like no shiny Whiscash merch whatsoever, and that's like my second favorite Pokemon. Beautiful Eyes coloration looks almost perfect. Dustox and Lotad are absolutely perfect, 100%. They look so good. Swellow and Taylor are just slightly off, but still good nonetheless, and Skitty is almost perfect. The next set of Pokemon, I was lucky enough to get the boxed version, as well as the winning ticket back there, which I'll show you a close-up of that here in just a second. So this one is very special because these figures are still in the little plastic bags that they came in. But here we have Plusle, Minun, Rosalia, Sceptile, and Swampert. This was the complete set of 5 figures within this lottery, and this one actually debuted in 2004. Plusle's shiny color is completely off. I mean, I honestly prefer that look compared to what they actually gave it, or what it was actually intended for. Minon's color looks really good. It's pretty much perfect, and Rosalia is just about there as far as perfection goes. That one rose just needs to be black, and it's 100% perfect. So this is the first out of 3 winning tickets that I was able to obtain with the complete box set. So this is super special to me because it gets right back into collecting, documentation, archiving, and preserving. So here is also the English translation. Now we're getting pretty close to the end of the Hoenn Pokedex, but the next 4 on the list is going to be Wailord, Cacnea, Flygon, and Seviper. These are some of my absolute favorites, in particular Flygon and Seviper, and I actually happened to get 2 Seviper figures. Now I didn't plan on doing that, but when you're picking up random lots, just trying to piece everything together, you get a few doubles here and there. And I gotta take a moment to appreciate the coloration to Shiny Seviper, total 80s vibe. I in fact did a complete video on just this figure alone to celebrate the Year of the Snake for the Pokemon Company. Flygon is also one of the more expensive Pokemon that isn't a legendary. I usually see this one sell for $75 to like $120. It just depends, and they rarely show up for sale by themselves. Flygon is such an awesome Pokemon to get in shiny form, and the coloration looks pretty spot on, but I would say Cacnea and Wailord are definitely perfect. The next 4 in Dex order is going to be Corphish, Chimecho, Snorunt, and Absol. It is funny that they went with Corphish and then skipped completely over Whiscash, which is okay because Ash did eventually get a Corphish, so it all works out in the long run. I will say I have become more of a Corphish fan as the years have progressed. I think Ash catching one definitely helped out with that. You can see the coloration is definitely different. Chimecho is lacking just a bit here and there. I mean, it looks faded compared to the normal version, but it's not a huge difference. And the Snorunt is completely different. That blue is absolutely beautiful. Absol is, again, like Flygon, one of the more expensive Pokemon that is not a legendary. This one I see sell for well over $100 consistently, and it is also one that doesn't pop up too often. Like Flygon, there is a lot of fans out there for Absol, so they're willing to pay some good money for just this shiny figure alone. We have 2 Pokemon left to showcase within the Hoenn region, and it is none other than Kyogre and Groudon. These are absolutely beautiful figures. Now, Kyogre came in the 5-pack with Bulbasaur, and Groudon came in the 5-pack with Squirtle. By themselves, these are very expensive Pokemon. They sell well over $150 consistently. I love how faithful the shiny coloration is to these legendary Pokemon. It is absolutely perfect, and some of the best ones from this entire Shiny Bandai Lottery program. Now, they really went all out in the Hoenn region, so they gave us Kyogre, Groudon, Rayquaza, Latios, and Latias, a total of 5 legendary Pokemon from just the Hoenn region alone. Now, technically, I could talk about one other Pokemon from the Hoenn region, and it happens to be the rarest and most expensive figure, but we're going to save this one for the end. So let's take a look at Sinnoh. Sinnoh actually gave us the 2nd most shiny Pokemon within this Bandai Lottery program, and they gave us the starters, unlike Johto. So we have Turtwig, Chimchar, and Piplup. Piplup looks great, definitely a fan favorite, but Chimchar's coloration is so beautiful because it is completely different than the normal variant. They did, however, do something completely strange and skip over the middle evolution and go straight into the final evolutionary form. So we have Torterra, Infernape, and Empoleon. After the starters, Sinnoh leaves us with 7 more shiny Pokemon, and that is Pachirisu, Baniri, Croagunk, Electivire, Magmortar, Leafeon, and Glaceon. Quite the lineup, I must say. And fun fact, Pachirisu was the last Pokemon I needed to complete this entire Shiny Bandai Lottery program. Lots of fan favorites right here, and a lot of pink going on. Pachirisu, Baniri, and Magmortar have definitely set the color tone, and I do love and appreciate how faithful these are to their shiny representation. Croagunk looks great. Electivire has some subtle differences, and it is kind of sad that Leafeon and Glaceon are the only evolutions we received from this entire Bandai set. Nonetheless, I am very happy to have them, but their shiny form isn't as stark as, say, Jolteon, or even like Umbreon. These 7 were also accompanied by the starters, Turtwig, Piplup, and Chimchar. This was a box set of 10 figures, released in 2008 for their own special campaign. I'm unsure if there was different ways to obtain these 7, I've only seen that box set of 10. And you know what's crazy? The starters have seen the most appearances within this shiny program. They had the box set of just by themselves, and then they had a second one one, which included their final evolutionary form, and then this box set of 10. They were really trying to promote Sinnoh. And while we're on the topic, I do have another one of those store displays that was hanging off the shelf. It has the starters in the front and a silhouette of their evolutionary forms in the back. A super cool piece, and I'm very happy to have it in the collection. So we finished in Sinnoh, and now we're headed to Unova. And what I hold in my hands is the last set of figures to receive the lottery treatment. And that is none other than Tepig, Snivy, and Oshawott. Now you can see that these are in boxes. These are still factory sealed sets. And I don't have the heart to open them because I feel like I can eventually find a loose set at some point. Now what's tricky about this is that there is only 1,000 of these in existence. For whatever reason, they decided to limit these to only 1,000. I also have the winning certificates to both of these sets. I ended up putting them in like a top loader-esque type of deal. They're actually supposed to hold menus for like a restaurant, and part of it is still poking through the edge, but it works. Having these certificates is like a big collecting win for me. I love preserving history, and like having these is the icing on top of the cake. Now, because these are limited to 1,000, expect to pay a little bit more money for these. I've seen loose sets sell for a few $100s and sealed copies like this for even more. But if you happen to see them and it's within your budget, I would definitely jump on these because they are such a unique piece. There's 2 figures left in Unova, and that is Genesect. Now, these were not a lottery figure. These were actually easily obtained in stores because it was promoting the new movie Genesect and the Awakened Legend. But nonetheless, I did have to add these to the collection, and I love how this Genesect right here looks like he's doing a techno blast or something to that effect. Super cool figures, and still very easily obtained to this day. Now, before we get into the rarest and most expensive lottery figure, we have to talk about this shiny Rayquaza. This was released last year, and I'm assuming it should coincide with Pokemon Horizons because they've been doing a lot of shiny Rayquaza merch as of late. What I hold in my hand right here is by far the rarest and most expensive Bandai lottery figure, and it is none other than the shiny Mega Rayquaza. It took me a few years to track one of these down at a reasonable price because there is only 1,000 of them in existence. In 2015, which doesn't feel that long ago, but it was 10 years ago, they did another lottery campaign. This is a flyer showcasing all the different promotions in 2015, one of which is this shiny Mega Rayquaza. Now, the way to win one of these was pretty much like the rest of the lottery figures. All you had to do was send in 3 proof of purchases from select Bandai products. You send that in with your name, your address, your zip code, and hopefully you were selected to win one of these shiny Mega Rayquazas. Now, the figure itself is completely different than the rest of these lottery figures in the sense that it has a pearlescent, kind of like sparkly look to it, on top of being a shiny Pokemon. I guess that would be an easy way to spot a fake, not that I've really seen any or that people are doing it, but if you look closely, you can see all the little sparkles throughout this entire figure. The box itself is unique as it is catered to hold just one figure. It does have the same appearance. It is a white box with like logoing and the campaign at the front. Before I lay everything out on the table and give my estimated value of the entire collection, I do want to showcase the last 2 pieces of documentation. The first one is going to be this like little pamphlet, and it does have 5 shiny Pokemon on there: Dustox, Seviper, Skitty, Absol, and Combuskin. Now, there's nothing too crazy about this. It's kind of like a checklist with a bunch of normal Pokemon on it, and then the back side, it kind of has like a board game appearance and maybe like another checklist of some sorts, but the only area of shiny Pokemon is going to be on the front of the pamphlet as well as the back. And the back is basically promoting the campaign and how to win these shiny figures. This little book is very special, and it's basically like an encyclopedia. They call it a fan book, but it is celebrating 10 years of Pokemon Kids. And what's special about this is that it shows the start of the Pokemon Kids campaign, all the normal figures, the little special giveaways that they did, and other promotions along the line, as well as many of the shiny Pokemon. It is truly remarkable to have this book because of the way it showcases the history of these figures. And they are extremely popular in Japan. Not just the shiny figures, but the regular Pokemon as well. And maybe in the future, I'll do a start to finish of what this book looks like. If you guys really want to see that, comment down below. And if enough people are interested, then I'll make that video happen. It's only fair to keep the tradition going of laying out your entire Bandai lottery collection and then some. So this is all 62 lottery figures with some bonuses sprinkled in there. Just seeing all this makes me so incredibly happy. This is probably my #1 collecting achievement. If not #1, then definitely #2. And the reason for that is because how I was able to import all of these figures from Japan while adding in various pieces of documentation that are so incredibly hard to find, with some pieces being maybe even rarer than the figures themselves. Never did I think I was going to be able to get a sealed set of figures, let alone 2. And when I started collecting these, I knew getting the crown jewel, the shiny Mega Rayquaza, was going to be quite the challenge and an expensive one, let alone getting one with the original box. In my opinion, I got an incredible deal on this figure. I paid close to $500, and I have seen them sell upwards of $1,000 and even more. Now for the hard part. What would I value this entire collection at? In all reality, it's only worth what somebody is actually willing to pay for something like this. But with everything that you see here, I value this at over $6,000. Thankfully, I didn't spend that much money. I'm a deal hunter, so I was patiently waiting for deals as I saw them pop up. But I landed on that number based off of sold listings not only in Japan, but as well as eBay. Now, if you go the eBay route, you're definitely going to be paying a lot more money. That's just how things go. Now, I would consider $6,000 a pretty fair amount because when you do the math, it comes out to be about $96 a figure, including the shiny Mega Rayquaza. But naturally, some figures are going to sell for way under that number, and many will sell for way above that. But if you take into consideration the complete sets with boxes and documentation, that adds a tremendous amount of value to the set itself, especially the Charizard campaign. Well, hey, I want to say thank you for watching this video. It is my pride and joy to showcase this collection. From the get-go, I've been very passionate about completing this set, so I'm very happy that it's here, and I'm so happy to share it with y'all. If you enjoyed this video and all the vintage Pokemon content, be sure to like and subscribe. It helps out the channel, and it definitely motivates me to keep pumping out videos like this. And make sure you connect with me on Instagram and TikTok. I also post a lot of things you won't see here on YouTube. Until then, collectors, I'll see y'all in the next video.